Alright, welcome back to the channel everyone. I am going to reshoot this. I had started to before, but a seaplane went overhead and then jet skis went by. This video is going to be a little bit different than what I had originally intended. As you can kind of see, Mother Nature is throwing a little bit of a wrench into my plans for shooting today. It's still a beautiful day. It's just overcast, a lot of clouds, pretty dark in the background, and so it's really kind of tough to capture the details that I would like, but oh, that's pretty cool. So today's video is going to be about going from good to great. Sometimes I think people think that that is a relatively easy accomplishment, and I think that probably there's nothing further from the truth than that. Becoming a great photographer takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and so I kind of wanted to go through what I consider to be the top 5 steps that you can take to go from good to great. And starting with number 5 is asking yourself why you want to be great. And I think maybe that's kind of an odd question to ask, but if your motivation is primarily financial, then the question is, do you have to be a great photographer to be financially sound or to make a fair amount of money in photography? Now, prior to this pandemic, there were a lot of different ways that you could make money in photography and be pretty successful without being a great photographer. I've seen a lot of photographers who are probably not the best in the world, but financially they have a great financial mind. They know how to market their skills and those types of things, and so they do quite well at photography, or at least prior to what's been going on over the last year and a half or so, because of their financial mind, not so much because they're a great photographer. So I think you have to kind of ask yourself, why do you want to be great? If it's just for financial reasons, then I think you probably can get by with mediocre skills of photography as long as you have a good financial mindset. But if your reason for becoming a great photographer or artist or any other type of skill that you want to achieve is simply for, let's say, bragging rights, or just to reach a level of expertise that you've always wanted to reach with a skill, then that's a different mindset. That takes a lot of different types of activities and steps to take to reach that level, if you will. I think number 5 for me is to evaluate why you want to be that excellent, expert photographer, artist, whatever it happens to be, and then what are the steps that you need to take to achieve that. So that's number 5 for me. Number 4 for me is to come to that realization, actually, that you are not great yet, and kind of put together a plan, a set of steps, goals, whatever it is that you want to achieve, or how you want to achieve that level of expertise. And so that's just simply a plan that could take years, depending upon your time frame, right? So not all of us have the time to become an expert in anything. If you've got a day job and you're working 9 to 5 or 10-hour, 12-hour days, those types of things, sometimes that dedication that it takes to become expert and expert at something is simply not there. You just don't have the time right now. Maybe you have kids and other commitments that take up a lot of that extra time, and you just don't have that ability to achieve that level of expertise. If you can put in a plan, if it's after hours or if it's on weekends, just dedicating a certain amount of time every day to your photography, that is probably the best thing that I can suggest that you can do as far as laying out a plan to achieve that movement from good to great. Number 3 is a pretty obvious one. Invest in your learning, in your skills. Now, it doesn't mean, when I say invest, I don't mean necessarily spending a lot of money to achieve that. Obviously, there's plenty of avenues out there for you to learn. Everybody talks about this stuff online, on YouTube even, like with Skillshare. For my personal liking, I've mentioned before, Creative Live. There are other options out there for you to learn. Obviously, even YouTube is a great platform to learn certain basic skills in photography. Invest your time and your money if you have a certain path that you would like to take. If you would like to go a certain route, say real estate photography or portrait photography or whatever else, and you find a photographer that is just phenomenal and you would like to invest in a course that they have, I would suggest try to find that course maybe on Creative Live, like I said, or Skillshare or somewhere else first. Those courses are typically $15 a month, and you have full access to all their courses. if there's one that has a very specific skill set in mind that you would really like to achieve, I think that's a great way to go. You know, find a photographer that has offered a course in that area that you really want to become an expert in, and just embed yourself, if you will, in learning, and that will get you that much farther to achieving that goal from going from good to great. Number 2 is the reason why I'm out here today. If you look at this idyllic setting, this is a setting that I found about 2 weeks ago, and this goes to preparation. If you look out, and I don't know if this is captured in the video particularly well, but if you look out kind of over here, you'll see these kind of pylons where there used to be a pier. And I have kind of set aside this particular spot as a potential for a good morning shot, to come out in the morning and pick up the sunrise, which the sunrise is going to be off that direction, of course, to the east. Unfortunately, I have not had the good lighting conditions that would have facilitated a great photo to include this in the foreground. This kind of goes to what makes that leap from good to great so difficult. If you don't have the time to dedicate to your photography and you are not getting the lighting conditions that you like, it makes it kind of difficult to make that leap from good to great. But that's really what makes an excellent photographer, in my opinion, or an artist, is that you are willing to set aside the time, number 1, but also number 2, to allow for changing lighting conditions, changing weather patterns, to use applications that shows where the sun is going to rise or set. There are many applications you can get on your phone that shows those types of things. And I think that's what makes a good photographer go to great, is that preparation, you know, and then that goes even when you're traveling, right? So, you know, a lot of people will travel internationally and they'll go to a beautiful location and they because they're only there for a day or so, they don't get the shots that they want to get. They're disappointed, right? And so what makes that leap from good to great is that preparation. It's that dedication to going back to that scene day after day to get the weather that you want, to get the cloud patterns that you want, to get the lighting that you want. And you can only do that if you're truly dedicated to becoming that great photographer, in my opinion. Now, I think that's really what a lot of people don't recognize. They see these photos online, they see that this photographer has been able to get this unbelievable shot. What they don't know is all the preparation and the dedication and the time it took to go back to that same scene over and over and over again, maybe even in different seasons, to capture that scene. And when I get back on the computer to do some editing, I'm going to post an image that I shot in Scotland, in Donen, hopefully I pronounced that correctly. And it's a scene that I happened upon when we were traveling there, and we got freaking lucky. That's the only way I know how to put it. When we arrived at the scene, the lighting was perfect. The clouds were just incredible. You could see the shimmer of the light across the water. In my opinion, that's probably one of the better images that I've ever been able to produce. That image might be great. That certainly doesn't make me a great photographer. I couldn't reproduce that image day in and day out. Just don't have the time to dedicate to get that image. And I think that's the key right there. It's that preparation and the dedication in combination that makes a really great photographer. So if you're struggling right now with your photography, if you're looking at your images and you're trying to compare that to someone else, which is a tough thing to do, especially if you haven't been in the industry that long, try not to compare yourself to them until you've reached that point where you understand that to get to that next level, you need to have that time, that dedication, that preparation to reach that next level. All right, so number 1, this is one that's mentioned all over, and this really it's not specific to photography, honestly. It can go really for any endeavor, artistic endeavor that you are trying to achieve, whether you want to be the most amazing violinist or the most amazing artist or whatever it happens to be. You know, they say that it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert in anything. If you want to go from good to great, what you need to do is dedicate yourself to doing that thing which you're trying to achieve over and over and over again. And that would simply be, from a photography perspective, taking photos, putting yourself out there, putting yourself out in the scene day in, day out, taking thousands and thousands and thousands of photos. If you can dedicate yourself to 10,000 hours of learning, of taking photos, of putting yourself out there day in and day out, you will get better. You will eventually reach that point where you are considered in the industry an expert. And I think the more you learn, the more you expose yourself to the industry, the more you understand your camera, your equipment, those types of things, the more you start to figure out that you're not as good as you think you were, the more you can dedicate yourself to that path, the better you will become. Going from that good to great is achievable, in my opinion, for just about everyone if you have that dedication, that preparation, that desire to reach that level of expertise, that great photographer moniker, if you will. And it's something I hope to achieve someday. I'm not there yet. So I'm going to end the video right here. I hope everyone is having a fantastic weekend. Happy Mother's Day to those mamas out there. I hope you enjoy your day. I am going to go back and do a little bit of editing and call my mom as well. So we'll talk to you soon.